Hello, YouTube. It is a little after 9 p.m. I'm out here on my porch, getting ready to go to bed, drinking a Beam with 60 grams of added sugar because I'm in the midst of, well, one, Beam because I want to go to bed and it's helpful. The added sugar because I'm in the midst of a 29-hour training week building up for 70.3 main in about 5 weeks. So in the thick of it, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling motivated. I feel like I'm about to hit a hot streak. Trying to leave the ego out of training and just get the hours in, not try to hit specific numbers and just trust the process. But yeah, I'm feeling really good, especially after these last two races. But before I talk about those, I want to shout out couple.com for their continued support over the last 2 years. It definitely started as a bit of a joke, but couple.com is a real dating website. They're in beta, but check out couple.com. Who knows, maybe you were watching this YouTube video and then you found the love of your life. You're welcome. And I would also like to thank today's video sponsor, Aura.
It's probably not something you think about often, but there is a crazy amount of information available about all of us online. Obviously, I have a large online presence, but even for those who don't, your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there, and data brokers will sell this information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who might want to target you. The solution? Enter Aura, today's video sponsor. Aura identifies which data brokers are selling your information and automatically submits opt-out requests to not only reduce the amount of spam blowing up your phone and email, but protects your social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information from hackers. Recently, AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. United Healthcare was hit by a similar breach. Their recommendations were to use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and enable fraud alerts. Aura does all of these and more for you, so there's no need to pay for multiple different services to protect your information. To stop data brokers from exposing your personal information, go to aura.com/ariclau or hit the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial.
So, like I was saying, race recap. I did back-to-back 70.3's over the last 2 weekends, mainly because I haven't raced. So they were both local races. The first was the Best in the West Triathlon, and the second was the Pacific Crest Triathlon. They were both 70.3's. And yeah, the reasoning here was I was supposed to do St. George at the beginning of May, but I got a really ill-timed rib injury, missed about a month of swimming, and fully back into training, but it's a long time to go without racing. So these were races in the area, both in Oregon, and Coach and I figured, why not? You know, you have to race to remember why you train, and you can't do an Ironman Pro Series race for every single one you do. So the first of the two, the Best in the West Triathlon, I had some stiff competition in my boys, Evan Price, Josh Monda, and Simon Shee. So there was actually a bit of a pro field for this race. We pretty much knew that Simon would be first out of the water, and he was. I came out second in 3 minutes and 58 seconds down to Simon, which I wasn't thrilled with, but given I missed a month of swimming and I was just getting back into it, it wasn't terrible. I would hope that I would be a lot closer to a guy of his caliber if I had a pack to swim with, but it was solo swimming, so it is what it is. And a little over a minute ahead of Josh and Evan out of the water. I got right to work on the bike. I didn't look at my power meter pretty much at all, but took a few occasional glances, and I was pushing 330 watts normalized for basically the entire bike. It felt hard for the first 30 minutes, and then I started to warm up, felt really settled, and I honestly felt really good. I felt it was a super hilly course. I was on pace for about a 209, maybe a high 208, 26 point something miles an hour, and yeah, basically the best bike numbers of my career. But unfortunately, at 51 miles, I was going around a rough patch of road, and I heard a hiss, and that was that. My tire went flat pretty quick, and it was in the side of the tire. It did not seal. I tried a CO2 anyway. That didn't hold up. And yeah, that basically was my day over. I didn't want to actually DNF, so I walked along the side of the road, fully prepared to walk a full 5 miles with my bike back to transition just to do the run, because I really didn't want to DNF next to my name. But luckily, a neutral support vehicle came after about 30 minutes of walking, and I was able to get a spare tube in, roll into transition, and then get on the run. So for the run, I did not feel very good, but I knew the run course record was a 116 or 117, and I figured I should be able to get that. The course was also a very hilly run course. It was basically straight up or straight down the entire time, which I find quite annoying. Very hard to get into a rhythm, and the downhill kind of like hurts my back. Well, everything hurts at that point, I guess. You know, you've been going for a long time. But anyway, finished off the run as strong as I was able to. Still ended up in 4th place behind Simon. Won the race by 20 seconds over Evan, and then Josh a couple minutes back, and then me about 40 minutes after that. But I ran a 115 flat, which still broke the run course record, which, you know, I gotta, I guess, be a little bit proud of that. My running didn't feel great, but there's tons of time to get really fit there. And to add insult to injury to just how my day was going, about 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 30 seconds in, so coming right up to the finish line, I got stung by a f***ing bee right there on my forehead. So that was super annoying, and just a microcosm of kind of how that day went in some regard. Although, to be honest, the day went really well as far as I guess really just the bike. The bike went really well. I'm really happy with the way the bike felt, and it's so motivating to finally see progress in a race. I've seen so much progress in training that would indicate that I could do something like that, or potentially even more watts than 330, but you got to do it in a race or it doesn't matter. And so it felt really good to prove to myself that I'm not just a workout hero. I can actually do it in a race. And I feel like I'm not too far from being able to have a really good showing in a competitive race, in an Ironman 70.3 and maybe even a Pro Series soon. But anyway, that was just the first of the 2 races. The second of the 2 was the Pacific Crest Triathlon, the Beastman 70.3 in Bend. This one is a little bit different. It's not your standard 70.3. It's an 800-meter downriver swim in the Deschutes, which is usually quite cold, and then you bike up Mount Bachelor, up over 7,000 feet, and then back down. And then the run is slight uphill on the way out, slight downhill on the way back. So not a very fast course, and also Bend is situated at low altitude, or at moderate altitude, about 3,500 feet, but the bike does go up to potentially over 2,000 meters. My conversions are off. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've just crossed the line in first, so I really wanted to win this one. I wanted to win Best in the West, but it just wasn't meant to be. So for this one, I really wanted to be sure that I didn't make any mistakes, and I just got the job done. Unfortunately, it was set to be really, really cold. About 35 Fahrenheit, maybe getting up a little bit over 40 by the time I got on the run, but the bike was going to be freezing. So, hit up my friends Paula and Eric, who live in Bend. You may have seen them on YouTube, and Eric lent me 2 jackets, a pair of gloves, and some cycling booties, and that was enough to keep me as warm as I needed to be. My legs were quite cold, but wasn't too worried about that. My torso and my hands would be nice and warm. Anyway, 800-meter downriver swim. The water was about 60 degrees. The air temp was about 35 degrees at that time, so the water actually felt quite warm compared to the air. Gun goes off, and I shoot out to the lead, and I let out the swim. How about that? Me, leading out the swim in 2024. Now, we're not going to talk about who else was or wasn't in the race. I let out the swim, and that's all that matters. 7 minutes and 14 seconds for an average of 54 seconds per 100 meters. And then I spent about 4.5 minutes in transition, drying myself off, putting on jacket number 1, jacket number 2, putting on socks, putting my bike shoes on in transition because I knew it would be tough to get them on the bike, and then the gloves. So it took me a while, but eventually I did get out there, actually got onto the course in second, but into first pretty quickly, and then they actually had to change the bike course from going all the way over Mount Bachelor and then back to 2 laps, going most of the way up to about 6,000 feet altitude, back down, and then up a second time. So I basically just pushed the climbs as hard as I could. It wasn't too much power. I ended up at 296 watts normalized for the entire thing, just over 2.5 hours for about 58 miles. The climbs were probably more like 330, 340, and then not very much on the downhills because it's quite a fast descent. But yeah, no flat tires. I was able to establish a bigger lead on the bike. I knew that nutrition would be a factor because when it's so cold, it's really hard to take on nutrition. and it was even worse than I thought. So I concentrated my bottles. They were really concentrated, over 120 grams per bottle. So I really didn't need to drink much, only about 800 milliliters. I had maybe half of that. So I ended up doing basically the entire race on 150 grams of carbs, which is really, really low. And the race lasted over 4 hours. So I got onto the run and I felt good for about 1 mile, and then reality set in. And of course, like I said, it's 6 miles uphill on the way out. I felt a bit bonky, and I found it hard to push. And at that point, I knew that I had quite a bit of a lead, and really my only goal was to win the race. So I couldn't find, I guess, the motivation or the drive to like push myself to run as fast as I possibly could. Although I'm not going to act like it was easy. It was a hard 118. But anyway, I crossed the line in first, which, regardless of the caliber of the race, it feels good to get it done. And to a certain extent, I feel like I did what a professional triathlete should do when they show up to a race like that, which is win by a lot. I ended up winning by 23 minutes, and the guy who came in second, Adam Goulet, does also race pro. So overall, I feel decent about it, and it's made me really motivated to get back into training and feel like, okay, maybe I can make something happen this year. You know, I feel like I'm very patient through the ups and downs, or I do my best to be patient. But yeah, I think my bike is not super far off. You know, I know now that I can normalize 330 watts for a 70.3. I think you give me 15 to 20 more watts, and that's a good cyclist. Like, it's really only the top caliber of cyclists who are doing more than 350 watts for a 70.3. So it's a really like motivating factor just to know that if I just get a little bit better, and maybe I can't do that in a 6-week span leading into 70.3 main. That's 15 watts is a lot. But I'm motivated to keep working and yeah, just see what I have. I'm happy, I'm healthy, gonna try to not make any mistakes. And what I will leave you with finally is a bonus vlog, because I made this vlog a while ago and kind of never got it out. And at a certain point it becomes too old to just upload on its own, so I was maybe just gonna let it sit forever. But why not just put it on the end of this? So this is a workout that I did 8x4 minutes hill reps on the bike a while ago. So enjoy the bonus vlog, and thank you for watching.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the bonus vlog, showing you my new breakfast / pre-session snack of applesauce and chocolate chips. Don't judge me. My grandma used to give it to me as a snack, and it's the easiest way to get 100 grams of carbs in that I've ever found. So that's that. And yeah, a Spro, and then preparing my nutrition for a long day of training out of the house, starting out with a swim.
Swim squad, baby. All right, 2, 1. Driving out to Duval, Washington. First up, gotta refuel. So I have this little sweet bread thing. It's like banana bread and blueberry bread with Nutella. Called an audible, not going to Duval. The drive was gonna be too far. You're just outside of Seattle, just a bit north, out of the city. You can get on some good riding. It'll do the job just fine. So that was a 4,400 yard swim. 4,000 meters. That's the longest swim I've done since the injury. Big day on tap, 3-hour bike with 8x4 minutes. Very, very hard. I also brought a bowl of cereal. Milk in the cooler. Oh yeah. I've got these 4 bottles in the cooler here for the ride, 140 grams an hour for 3 hours. You might think that's overkill, but it's gut training. So I have to train my gut to be able to handle
large amounts of carbohydrates. Honestly, I don't really get stomach discomfort from 140 grams an hour anymore. It's been pretty good since I've been testing that. I might even go up to 160 soon. Today's session, simple. Here's the description. It's hot A style. So very, very hard / all out 4-minute hill reps, 10 minutes rest. Doing them on the TT with the 1x58 tooth chain ring, pyramid cycling. It's gonna hurt. I haven't been training particularly well as far as numbers lately. So, you know, this one's all about effort though. Rep 1, 430 watts. That did not feel very good. Rep 2, 419 watts. Rep 3, 421 watts. Rep 4, 412 watts. Starting to lose it a bit. Rep 5, 420 watts. Rep 6, 405 watts. Rep 7, 409 watts. One more. Rep 8, 406 watts. Okay, that was hard, but started out at 430 watts and then finished at just over 400 watts. So I think I executed it correctly because it was maximal, not best average or VO2 max. So yeah, not the best. Didn't feel very fresh or very strong, but keeping it over 400 watts is always good. The ride was actually only 245 instead of 3 hours, so closer to 150 grams an hour. Handled it fine, but we'll see how I feel on this run. I will also say on the TT bike with the 58 tooth chainring, there were some grindy sections on that hill that tough to just get over. See, this is perfect because I can just put my keys in my nerd belt. Got 75 G's in here. Get the out of my shot, yo. What the I actually prefer wearing it backwards. Feels better like that. 75 grams of carbs in there. Got a little workout, 5 rounds of 800, 400. A little bit faster than threshold. My legs are but you know, we'll see how it goes. Day complete. Day complete. Recovery shake. 2 shots of ketones.